Hey everyone, welcome to Ian and Friends Tour de Suisse edition. I am FlowBike Senior Editor Ian Dilley.
And I'm Phil Wyckoff, one of Ian's many friends, here today to talk about the 2018 Stage 6 Tour de Suisse and give you a preview of what's going to go on tomorrow in Stage 7.
Today's stage, it was a big day, 2 giant mountain passes, like a 60K run through the valley and then a 3K climb to the finish. It didn't play out the way I thought it was going to play out. What were your thoughts on the way things went down? We saw an early breakaway, 8 riders, a strong group with a big gap through the valley, but not a lot of GC antics.
Yeah, I'll admit that when you see these short stages, like 170 Ks with like an early, the Furka pass very early, and then the second one kind of still within a close distance, I admit you kind of expect to see the GC holder get ambushed, but we didn't see anything like that today.
Yeah,
it was surprising.
Yeah, we were talking about, we were expecting this to be a big GC day, but it seemed like everybody was holding their cards. BMC rode both these above category climbs on the front, and a lot of people made it over the last climb. I mean, Peter Sagan made it over the last climb. He was so comfortable, he was just back in the cars at the crest of the climb, like talking to his team manager, trading out for a fresh pair of 100% sunglasses or something.
Getting another torque wrench.
Yeah, there's only so many GC days in this Tour de Suisse. If Movistar, Sunweb, some of these teams that are a little bit further down the GC are going to take it to Richie Porte, I feel like they missed a bit of an opportunity today.
Yeah, I think missed opportunities there. You talk about Sagan, there's not that many sprint stages. Odd, again, that they didn't try and ride for him in that valley. Yeah. But, I don't know if he didn't want to do this 2K climb as hard as Porte. As we can see later, Porte really did smash it, maybe not leaving him much of an opportunity, but what did you think about?
Well, BMC was riding super hard on the front. And they have been every day during this Tour de Suisse. We know that their sponsorship is ending at the end of this year. They brought one of their strongest teams ever to the Tour de Suisse. They're an American registered team, but BMC is a Swiss company. They have 4 or 5 Swiss riders on their team. The leader.
Do you think maybe they just didn't want to see Simon Spilak win on a Russian team? Do you think that's
they're riding against Simon Spilak?
They're just kind of
their whole strategy. Simon Spilak won last year. We're going to bring our strongest team and squash him.
If you're looking for a new Swiss sponsor, it's not a bad tact.
But they were going so hard. We saw DeMarchi on the front. It's cool that we're able to see the watts. He was doing 400 watts on the front through the valley as the breakaway was actually working really well together. 6 riders in the breakaway. So it's maybe that is the reason that Bora didn't put riders on the front. Who else was there? Sunweb had Matthews. They didn't put riders on the front. Maybe they knew something we didn't know. Like you mentioned, this climb at the end was a lot more critical than we expected it to be. When the Classics guys were still in the race through the valley, I expected it to turn into a Classics riders type day, a race for Van Avermaet, but did not end up playing out that way. Let's set up the breakaway because there were some interesting antics in the breakaway. 6 strong riders: Nathan Haas, Michael Gogol. And Soren Kragh Andersen from Sunweb starts sitting on.
Young guy.
Yeah.
Really young guy.
You sat on a fair amount of breakaways in your time, Phil.
Yeah.
How do you get away with that?
Well, if you don't hear words that sound like swear words, then that helps a lot. But no, I think I think you have to be really adamant, and that kind of leads to why was Sunweb so adamant that they could actually have this young rider? It could have been because of the very primo spot they're in on the GC. They got 2 guys same time in places 2 and 3. That's pretty incredible. But I don't know how you get such a young guy to just who's not a sprinter. He's not a climber. He's just an all around good rider. But he got the free pass.
Yeah, for it was 10K,
20K,
more, 20K,
20K, something like that.
Yeah, on the back of this group.
It's pretty comfy.
Yeah.
That's as long as some of the races I've sat on brakes, So that's a long time.
Let's fast forward to this finishing climb. We were really looking forward to this climb because we finally get to see some steep pitches at the Tour de Suisse. These climbs in Switzerland are gigantic, 30 kilometers long, but they're all 5% average gradient. This had a steep pitch, a K at 15%. And the breakaway started falling apart. but it was really, and we'll get to the winner, but it was really the action behind. I mean, Richie Porte hits out. I mean, this was exactly like his 5 stage wins on Malunga Hill at the Tour Down Under.
Very similar.
Goes to the front and says, hang on if you can.
Yeah, and it was cool. I mean, if you watch it, you can kind of see with the timer, you can see where the other competitors just decide, nah, I can't do this. I can't do this for 90 seconds. I can't do this for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
This is too much.
Yeah, I mean, Nairo Quintana, we were looking, at just how good this guy is. He's been, on the Tour podium pretty much every time he's done the Tour de France, except for last year. Richie Porte is going so hard, he just pulls out a line.
Pulls out 30 seconds in. Just.
I mean, he's the one that opens the gap, and Richie Porte just takes off. He's out of the saddle, like you mentioned, for 90 seconds, and ends up putting 12 seconds, padding his GC lead, which was, somewhat tenuous. So he's on obviously insane form, per usual, heading into the Tour de France.
Yeah, and Porte is probably the rider we know the most about, but we still have no idea if he can actually win a Grand Tour. I mean, he hasn't done it yet. He's 33. I mean, that's getting deep in his career to be just this unknown commodity at the Tour.
Right.
Pretty wild.
Right, and especially if BMC does end up folding, he'll be looking for a contract. I mean, this is probably as big a Tour de France as he's ever done. So
man, how many times have we said that, though?
Every year.
2015, 26, yeah.
But, I mean, we give Richie Porte a little bit of a hard time on this show, but it is because he's such a dynamic racer. Yeah. I mean, you want him there deep in the race because he can do these types of efforts that just blow up the race. A 90-second effort at 500 watts or whatever he was doing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the winner, Soren Kragh Andersen, who sat on the brake for the last 20K. I mean, that's just smart racing. I don't know how he got away with it, but he did. We saw Rein Terme try to sit on the back of the brake, and somebody dropped him off the back of the group, and he disappeared pretty quickly. He rode the climb at his own pace, came over Michael Gogol right at the summit, and won this race, 23 years old.
That's sweet. Yeah. Great attack. If you want to see, kind of do your own how the race was won, you can go back to basically I think it's 1K to go where they crest and get into the flat, and that's where he punches it, and it's like, done.
Yeah, and it speaks to Sunweb's development of these young riders. Kragh Andersen, 23 years old. They've also got Sam Oomen, who's in the Young Riders jersey, sitting in third. Wilco Kelderman, also a young guy. Just a lot of talent coming through the ranks. Our former teammate Chad Haga is 29. He's now the old guy on the team.
Yeah, old guy. Still seems young to me though. The other thing is in that white jersey competition, and I think white jersey competitions are severely underrated. You saw what happened in the Giro with those two guys futzing around and essentially costing their breakaway companion Tom the win. Yeah. But if you look in this white jersey competition as well, you see Basque stage winner Enrique Mas right up there. He's at 1 second behind. So I mean, incredible race within a race to just keep your eye on.
Yeah, I mean that could come into play tomorrow. Let's talk a little bit about stage 7. This is the final big GC day. It starts out with some lumpy climbs, which could help launch some riders up the road, create a breakaway that could factor into the GC battle. But it's really this finishing climb. It's the one summit finish at the Tour de Suisse, the climb to Arosa, and it's really 2 climbs in one. They do 12K at around 5-6% gradient. There's a plateau of sort of a false flat, 2 to 3%. And then a really steep, 10% pitch the last 3K. I mean, who's your pick? Are we going to see another? Can anybody beat Porte with the form we saw him display today?
I think so. I mean, I think you got guys like Jack Haig who could surprise. He's definitely under the radar, not one of the Yates brothers. So right there, overlooked. When he's wearing the whatever they're called this year. Mitchelton Scott jersey. But I think Jack Haig's got the goods, and I also think, man, one of those 27-year-old Colombians has got to come up with the goods. Landa, Quintana, let's show you what you got coming into the Tour.
Yeah. I mean, it is sort of Quintana's time to show that he's got something in the bank. He's going to be a Tour favorite because he is in a battle amongst his own team. Valverde's not at this race. But when they get to the Tour, it's going to be difficult for them to decide who the leader is. So I think it's a good opportunity for him to assert himself.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. All right, well, that wraps up our show today. We will see everybody tomorrow for stage 7 of the Tour de Suisse.